I'm going to give you a little bit of background on the song Yerushalayim Shel Zahav. It's from a cantor who gave a class about this song. His name is Jeremy Stein. And he is trying to see the lyrics of this famous song, Yerushalayim Shel Zahav. What is the origin? Now, this song came out during the Six-Day War. I think it was on the first day of the Six-Day War. It was being diffused on Israeli radio station. So the soldiers, as they were going to war for the Six-Day War, they heard this song. Now, this song was first played by a woman by the name of, so first of all, the one who wrote the song is Naomi Shemer, and the one who sang the song for the first time, her name is Shuli Natan, and she sang it in the Israel Song Festival. Interestingly, this song did not make it to first place, did not make it to second place in the Song Festival, did not even make it to third place. The reason why it didn't is because it wasn't even in the contest. It was a song that was being played while they were counting the votes. So they had like an intermission to let the judges count the votes to see which song is the best. And that song, which was probably is a song that one of the best in Israeli spectrum of songs, was not even in the game. It was not even being judged. So it's interesting that Naomi Shemer, she confessed before she passed away to a friend of hers that the song was not originally hers. She heard it from somebody else. In 1962, there was a Spanish group that came to play a song in Jerusalem, and they played a song similar to this. It's a Basque song from the region called Basque. And she tweaked it, she played with it, she made it more melodious, more beautiful, and she made this song. So it's interesting because even the national anthem of Israel, Hatikva, is originally from, I think it's, let me see which origin it is.
It's from Mavlast by Smetana.
From where?
Mavlast, my homeland, from by Smetana, the Czech composer.
Yeah, it's not, it's from Eastern Europe. So in reality, I don't think it would have affected the popularity of the song, even if we knew that it was not Naomi that came up with it completely. She modified it and she rendered it. Now, the beginning of the song is from Lamentations, and it's from Echa, where she's saying there is a wall in the heart of the city. So she personifies the city of Jerusalem, saying that she feels sorry for a city that's sitting lonely and with a wall in its heart. So it's a sadness that even though in 1967, it was 20 years that Israel was a country. I mean, it was in 1948, so almost 20 years. Nevertheless, they had only part of Jerusalem. They didn't have all of Jerusalem. And that created an emptiness in her heart. And it's very interesting that she had to add an extra paragraph to the song because after the Six-Day War, they had Jerusalem. And they could go to the Dead Sea from Jericho. And in the song, she says, we cannot go to the Dead Sea from Jericho. So she had to add an extra paragraph to say, now we're going to go to the Dead Sea from Jericho after the Six-Day War. So because Rabbi Orenstein has to go soon, I'm going to let him talk a bit, and then I'm going to continue after, because I think he has to go at 9 p.m.
Hi, everyone. So wonderful to celebrate together with you. Very special day on the Jewish calendar, the modern Jewish calendar, Yom Yerushalayim. So, Andy, thank you so much for that wonderful beginning of an introduction to the song, which has so much meaning, and especially around, it's directly connected with Yom Yerushalayim, which I'm sure you're going to talk about. So first, Yom Yerushalayim song, Jerusalem of Gold, Yerushalayim Shel Zahav, which you see behind me. And this will be followed, since this year Jerusalem needs special prayers for peace. We're going to launch into kind of a medley with Oseh Shalom, the Nava Tehillah version, which is a really beautiful congregation in Yerushalayim, and they've come up with beautiful music. So two songs. Andy, you only asked for one, but I couldn't resist. First, the Naomi Shemel's words of poetry. Aviv Harim, just one moment. We have to make sure the microphone is in the right place. And here we go. And all the things are set up on the Zoom. And here we go. Aviv Harim, Salul Kayayim, Bereach Oranim, Nisa Beruach Arba'im, Im Kol Pa'amonim. Kol Pa'amonim means a voice like bells. Uftar demati lan va'even, shvuya v'chaloma. העיר אשר בדד יושבת ובליבה חומה. ירושלים של זהב ושל נחושת ושלו. הלא לכל שירייך אני כינור. ירושלים של זהב ושל נחושת ושלו. הלא לכל שירייך אני כינור. Followed by a little song for peace, and hopefully my battery won't run out on my computer. Se shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru amen. Yada da 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 da, yada 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 da da da. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru amen. Yom Yerushalayim Sameach. Happy Jerusalem Day to all of you, and thank you, Andy, for bringing this all together. It's so beautiful. I wish I could stay longer. However, my Yom Yerushalayim celebration continues in another form. So
Thank
have a good
you.
evening,
Thank you
everyone.
so much,
So nice
Rabbi
to meet
Orenstein.
you.
We love you. Thank
Familiar
you so much.
faces. Lovely
We love
faces.
you a lot. We love you a lot.
תודה רבה. להתראות.
Thank you, Rabbi, for joining us.
תודה. חג שמח.
Very much.
Yeah. Wow, that was nice.
So what do we do now?
Wow.
You want me to sing?
Okay, so ideally I wanted to tell more about the song before he sings it, but he had to go at 9 p.m. I found a Hazan that gave a course about this song. His name is Jeremy Stein, and he goes over a few points. I mentioned some of the points.
Here, Alberto.
Yeah, hi Albert. Hi.
Hi. It took me a while to get in. I don't know. The host wouldn't let me in. I don't know who's hosting this.
Because they know who you are.
I felt rather unwanted, but it's okay. I'm here now.
We have to change the host.
So up to now, we gave a small introduction on the song Yerushalayim Shel Zahav, and then we had Rabbi Orenstein who sang the song, and he sang an extra song for peace. Now we're going to continue a bit more to explore what is the lyrics of Yerushalayim Shel Zahav. So one of the things that it says, the title of the song, Yerushalayim Shel Zahav, Yerushalayim, Jerusalem of gold. Now, this expression, where does it come from? Who first said that expression? It was Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva, he married his wife who came from a very wealthy family, and he was very poor and he was a convert to Judaism, and he didn't have money to give her gifts, to lavish her. But he had confidence in the future that one day he will be wealthy and one day he will be able to spoil her. So he said to her, when I'll have the money, I'm going to give you a Yerushalayim Shel Zahav, which means like a crown with gold around it in the form of the towers of Jerusalem. So that expression is what Naomi is using in her song. And what she's conveying is that at the time, before the 6-Day War, when she wrote the song, they didn't have Jerusalem completely. They had only a small part of Jerusalem, but she was confident that they were going to have it. They were going to have Jerusalem. So she's comparing herself to Rabbi Akiva, who is poor, and he's promising his wife, he says, I will give you a crown of gold. Right now, I don't have it, but one day I will have it and I'm going to give it to you as a gift with all my heart. So this is what she was trying to convey with saying this, by saying this. Now, little did she know that as soon as she would be singing this song, Jerusalem will be part of Israel within a few days. But we see that the Jewish people are always hopeful about the future. Even if they don't have something, they feel that they're going to have it soon. And another verse in the song says, I'm going to be a lyre for you. I'm going to be a violin. You can sing songs and it's going to go through me like a violin. And this comes from very big philosopher, Jewish philosopher from Spain by the name of Yehuda Halevi. He wrote something called the Kuzari, which was, there was a kingdom who had questions about Judaism, and they asked questions and they were so happy with the answers, all of them converted to Judaism. So the Kuzari answers a lot of questions about Judaism. What is the root of our beliefs? And so he's very deep. Yehuda Halevi is part of the crowning part of our golden age in Spain. And I think probably she took those ideas for the verses from him because that song comes from Spanish origin. When she first heard it in 1962, a version of it that she rendered her own version, it comes from Spain. So I think that's why Naomi Shemer, she thought about Yehuda Halevi's song. The original song by Yehuda Halevi says the following: my heart is in the east, and I'm in the uttermost west. So if you can imagine, he's living in Spain. The east is Israel and Jerusalem. So he says his heart is always thinking of Jerusalem, even though he's in Spain. And we can say the same thing in Canada. We could say the same thing in the US or in Europe. How can I savor in food? How shall it be sweet to me? How shall I render my vows and my bonds, while yet Zion lieth beneath the feather of Edom? So Edom is Europe, is also America is considered Edom. Edom is the progeny, the children of Esau. So here, Yehuda Halevi, he was talking in the 14th century, or I think he's in the, hold on, he's in the 12th century. Anyways, he's saying that Zion is under the feather of Edom, which means under the children of Esau, and I am in Arab chains, which means at the time the Muslims were running Spain, and so he calls himself as being in Arab chains. And while he's mourning that he would like to be in Jerusalem. So Shammer is taking some of those ideas, and even though now when Shammer is saying those words, Naomi Shammer, Israel is independent at that time, they don't have all of Jerusalem, so they're still yearning. Then there is another part which she's referring to, is that she's missing the Temple Mount, which at that time they didn't have. She's saying that Jerusalem is empty, that there is like a, you know, in the Westerns, you see like dry leaves going with the wind, dry, like a ball of dry vegetation running in the wind, and there is nobody to populate the city. She's describing Jerusalem as being empty of Jewish presence. And then afterwards, she talks about herself as being small. She calls herself katonti, I am small. And this is something that Jacob said when he was about to confront Esau. He says, I have become small. How can I confront my brother? So he's begging God to make him successful in his encounter with his brother. And here, the Hazan that's analyzing the song, he doesn't understand why Naomi is considering herself to be small. Why is she, as a poet, she says, I'm small. And even though I'm small, I'm calling for Jerusalem, which is very great. So why is she considering herself so small? And she explains in the song, it's because pronouncing the word Jerusalem is like kissing the lips of an angel. It burns your lips. So it creates a visceral reaction in her body just saying the name Jerusalem, because it evokes so much emotions. So now the fact that this song was sang for the first time and diffused in the radio during the 6-Day War, probably the first day of the war, shows that, and also a paragraph had to be added later on to say that now we have Jerusalem, shows that the most difficult part of life is when we are in transition. When we go from childhood to adulthood, there is a period of transition. When we go from being single to being married, there is a period of transition. When we had half of Jerusalem, or we didn't have Jerusalem, and then we had all of Jerusalem, there is a period of transition. Even Moshe Dayan could not accept having all of Jerusalem. He gave the key to the mullahs of the holiest of the holy places, and he says, you guard it. Even though he had captured all of Jerusalem, he did not want to go on the Temple Mount. He gave it to the Arabs to keep their Al-Aqsa mosque there. So I think we as Jewish people in general, we have problems with transitions. That's why if you see in the desert, we have this week's Parsha Bamidbar. Bamidbar means in the desert. We were stuck in the desert. The whole generation did not get out of the desert, except for two people, Moshe and Aaron and his sons. They were stuck in the desert. Why? Because it was hard to do the transition. And it had to take a whole new generation to make the transition happen. And it's interesting because the seventh Lubavitch Rebbe by Menachem Mendel Schneerson, he said in the 80s, this is the last generation of exile and the first generation of redemption. What does he mean? Does he mean that there's going to take 2 generations to make the exile to redemption happen? Why did he have to phrase it this way? It seems that with transitions, we have issues. And this song is an example of managing transitions, because just when it happened is when that transition had to be digested and the song was modified. So that's it. I'm going to say a few words on Bamidbar. There is a lecture by Rabbi Sachs, and he talks about transitions. And he says Bamidbar is the parsha that talks about transitions. And the first thing to make a successful transition is everybody has to be on an equal ground. So when you count the Jewish people, the highest sage or the lowest of the lowest, they are considered as 1 in the count. Each one contributes 1 to the count. And in the desert, there was a period of almost 1 year that we did not divide all the tribes into position. They were all mixed together. It was only after 1 year that we started putting the formation around the ark. Only once we had the Mishkan and we built the ark, we were able to put everybody in formation. So to have a successful transition, there has to be a breathing period, a time where we're in the desert, in nothingness, in a communal reality where everybody is together so we can accept the new reality. If you see, when we left Egypt in the Torah, it said that we put blood on the doorposts. And also when the sea opened, it opened and it closed behind us. All of these were signals that we need to leave the past behind and embrace the new reality. So there is a word for that. It's called liminal. Liminal is the space between the old and the new. And to be successful in life, we need to handle transitions well. I remember when my parents passed away, my mother passed away, today was Mother's Day, in 2016, and my father in 2017. I asked one of the people in the Spanish and Portuguese synagogue who was extremely wealthy and successful. I asked him for advice, what he thinks, what to do. And he told me the main challenge for me is to make sure, because now I'm going through a transition, to make sure that I know what I want in life so that the transition period is as short as possible between when I lost my parents and the new life now. And I tried to follow his advice, but it's very difficult because the transition is very difficult. You lose your compass and you don't know how to recalibrate it. So I wish you a blessing for all of you, that you should be able in every situation in your life to handle transitions successfully. That's it, Ronnie.
So Hazan Benlolo recorded 3 songs, especially for presentation tonight. And if you want Andy, it's up to you. If you want to hear any or all of them, or one or two.
There is one song. The first one is based on Psalm 147, Tehillim 147. In this Tehillim, God talks and says that I am going to be the builder of Jerusalem. Meaning, even if you have the impression that you are building Jerusalem, you are not building Jerusalem. Even if you have the impression that you are guarding Jerusalem, you are not guarding Jerusalem. I'm personally the guard, and I'm personally the builder of Jerusalem. You are just going through the motions, and I'm the one who makes you successful. And this song has stuck with the Sephardi audience and has become very popular. You can play it. It's the first one, based on Psalm 147 by Hazan Benlolo.
Okay, I'm going to share.
Before we go into the songs, are we allowed comments or questions on what you just said, Andy?
Yeah, you can ask. Go ahead.
Okay, before I make my comment, first of all, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of my good friends, Ron and Koti Feingold. Mrs. Feingold are here. I'm glad to see both of you.
Great.
You said, it's just a point of clarification. You were saying earlier that when Jerusalem was reunited, Moshe Dayan gave the keys to the mullahs.
Yeah.
First of all, they're not the mullahs, they're the Waqf, okay, which is not, it's not Iran, it's Middle East. But that being said,
what's the name? What's
the
the name?
Waqf, the Waqf.
Waqf?
Waqf is the organization that looks after the
WAQF.
Okay.
no, WAKF.
QF.
All right, either Q or K. The Waqf is an Arabic name for the
Yeah.
like the Muslim association that looks after the religious sites in Jerusalem. The reason Moshe Dayan gave the keys to those people is because there were a couple of hundred Hasidim at the time in the early days of the state who stated that Jews are not allowed to go on the Temple Mount, and they will never be going on the Temple Mount. So in that case, why don't you just give the keys to the Waqf and let them handle the whole place, because there's only a couple of hundred Jews that would normally be going up on the Temple Mount. Well, lo and behold, these couple of hundred Jews now today are hundreds of thousands, and therein lies the problem. So I just wanted to make that point clear.
I saw a documentary about the 6-Day War, and they gave a little bit of a negative explanation why he did that. They said that he was afraid that the Orthodox Jews are going to start building the third temple.
I guess there are many explanations, but like you said, and I agree with you, the bottom line is that he gave the keys over to the Muslim clerics to control the Temple Mount.
And
that was a big mistake.
And I read something interesting. The country that was in charge of the Temple Mount and Jerusalem was Jordan. And there was the last soldiers that fought the battle. A lot of soldiers went away because there was miracles, like things happened and they were scared and they ran away. There was 2 soldiers that ran away and then they turned back. I'm talking about Jordanian soldiers. They turned back and they saw the beautiful sunshine. They saw the Al-Aqsa Mosque shining gold on top and the beautiful sun in Jerusalem. And they said, why are we running away? We have to run back. Even if we're 2 soldiers, we have to fight them. We shouldn't let them have this Temple Mount, you know? And then they decided finally to run away. but they stopped and they were so awestrucken with the scene of the Temple Mount that they couldn't go. They were like, for a moment, they had this crazy thought that they're gonna go and confront the whole army of Israel, only 2 soldiers. So that shows you the emotional charge that was there, you know, about this place.
I'm sorry, I can't respond because the host has shut me up, but it's okay.
Okay, so
This host is undemocratic. It's really bad. We'll have to fire the host.
can you, Rani, can you find which song was it that Daniel Benlolo sang that was about Psalm 147?
Well, if it's the first one, yeah, it's called, what's it? Shabechi Yerushalayim.
Shabechi Yerushalayim. Okay, I'm
think
gonna
that's
say, I'm gonna say one more thing about this psalm, because the psalm is saying that God is in charge. He's running everything by divine providence. And basically he's saying that for Jerusalem, divine providence is extremely high, like even higher than normal, you know, much higher. So in the rest of the world, divine providence is on one level. In Israel, it's on a higher level. And in Jerusalem, it's on an incredible level. And so there was a story about a sage, a Jewish sage by the name of Hatam Sofer. It was during the time of Napoleon. And he went somewhere to study for 2 years with the great sage to learn about Torah and things. And he was in a place where he was sharing a dwelling with a French non-Jewish man from France. So he wanted to become friends with the guy, but he didn't have time. He was so immersed in his Torah study that if he just came to sleep at night, he did not chit chat, he did not have a good time, but he always smiled at the guy. He always said hi. And in the back of his mind, he was always thinking, you know, there is a reason why this guy is here, and I'm not going after the reason. I'm not exploiting the opportunity. This person from France is sharing this place with me. And although I don't know why, but there is a deep reason. And anyways, 2 years passed and they had to say goodbye and he never got to know the guy well, except for the hellos and goodbyes and sleeping at night. And so 35 years passed. There was a war between the Napoleonic army and Austria. It was extremely bloody. A lot of soldiers died and their arms were on the floor, the weapons. 2 Jews started gathering all the weapons and they made a business selling back the weapons to Austria so they can continue to have war. And between the Jews, they started fighting because there was a lot of money involved. And they wanted to see who the money goes to because of they had a dispute. I don't know the details of the dispute. They went in front of the Hatam Sofer to judge between them because he became a great sage. And the Hatam Sofer ruled in favor of one of them after hearing the case and against the other one. And the one who was ruled against, he went to Napoleon's people and he told on them saying that there are these Jews selling arms to the Austrians. And they took both of them. They took the Hatam Sofer, who was the judge, and they took the other guy, and they made a very quick court case to just dismiss and get rid of people and judge very quickly against them. But lo and behold, the judge who was going to rule against the Hatam Sofer, he says, "Oh, my friend, it's nice to see you." And he tried to remember what friend? And he says, "Oh my God, this was the guy that I spent 2 years sleeping in the same area. And I didn't know that." And I was saying to myself, I have to get to know this guy. And the guy started to like me just from the hello and goodbye, every day. And when he heard the testimony of the Khatam Sofer as a judge, and he heard that I just ruled between them, they had a dispute over who should get the money, and I'm not involved in this arms deal, he immediately believed him because he saw the piousness from 35 years ago that the guy didn't have even time to talk to him. He was so immersed in learning the law and the Torah. So it shows you that every detail in life, even from many, many years ago, is calculated by God in a divine providence to at the right time come to your aid and help you. Go ahead with the song Shebecha.
Friends, welcome back yet again. And this one is a beautiful song of Yerushalayim and with a Sephardic twist. Shabechi Yerushalayim et Amonai Haleli Elokaich Tzion Shabechi Yerushalayim et Amonai Haleli Elokaich Tzion Ki chizak beriche she'araich Ki chizak beriche she'araich berach Banaich bekirbech berach Banaich bekirbech berach Banaich bekirbech Haleli Haleli Elokaich Tzion Haleli Haleli Elokaich Tzion. Happy Yom Yerushalayim.
So this song is basically only 3 verses of Psalm 147. In English, the 3 verses are, Praise Hashem, O Jerusalem, laud your God, O Zion, for he has strengthened the bars of your gates and blessed your children in your midst. It is he who makes your borders peaceful, and with the cream of the wheat he sates you. This is all the song.
So would you like to hear Yerushalayim Shel Zahav as well?
Yeah, we're gonna hear, we already heard Rabbi Orenstein. Now we're gonna hear it from Hazan Benlolo.
But maybe if people have more questions or so on, and then
Yeah, this is gonna be the last thing we're gonna do. So if people have questions before we play Yerushalayim Shel Zahav, is there any more questions? Okay, let's play Yerushalayim Shel Zahav.
okay.
This is Naomi Shemer's Yerushalayim Shel Zahav. Avir harim tzalul kayayin vereach choranim nisa beruach arba'im kol pa'amonim ובתרדמת אילן ואבן שבויה בחלומה העיר אשר בדד יושבת ובליבה חומה ירושלים של זהב ושל נחושת ושל אור, הלא לכל שירייך אני כינור. ירושלים של זהב ושל נחושת ושל אור, הלו לכל שירייך אני כינור, איך יבשו בורות המים, כיכר השוק ריקה, ואין יורד אל ים המלח בדרך יריחו. ירושלים של זהב ושל נחושת ושל אור, הלו לכל שירייך אני כינור. ירושלים של זהב ושל נחושת ושל אור, הלו לכל שירייך אני כינור,
So I sent you a blessing. May Hashem bless you all with his presence and an extremely high degree of divine providence. Happy Yom Yerushalayim.
Thank you. Thank you, Andy. Thanks everyone for coming.
Okay, thank you everybody. Thank you for coming.
Okay.
All the best. Have a
Okay.
good night.